Have they shown that they've learned from the experience of the CERB in C2, that it's targeted to the people who need it the most, and that there's protections to make sure that those who shouldn't be receiving this benefit do not get it?
I'm afraid we've run out of time, but I know the honourable member for Haliburton Kawartha Lakes, Brock, wants to answer, so I'll give him 15 seconds to answer if he wants, but very quickly.
Clearly, Speaker, more work needs to be done, and it's a shame we didn't hear the speech from my member from British Columbia. He had a lot to say on this, and hopefully we'll hear from him soon. Thank you, Speaker.
Yeah, we will after QP.
Okay. Very good. Statements by members. Déclaration de député. The honourable member for Milton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to talk today about Canada's role as a leader for disability inclusion. Depuis 2015, nous avons...
Since 2015, we've taken unprecedented measures to build a more inclusive Canada for people facing disabilities.
To 2021, we put nothing without us into action by investing into accessible communities, training and job creation, students with disabilities, and inclusive childcare. We've made good progress, Mr. Speaker, but we have a lot more work to do. Looking ahead, we will reintroduce the Canada Disability Benefit Act to help low-income Canadians with disabilities and move forward with the Disability Inclusion Action Plan. Everyone should be able to participate equally in our society because it strengthens our communities, our economy, and most importantly, it's the right thing to do. I'd like to give a special shout out to my friends at the Special Friends Network, the Bob Rumball Centre, Lunchbox Cafe, Community Living North Halton, and everyone living with disabilities, different abilities, those who support them, and especially their friends and their caretakers. And since this is the last time I'll be speaking in the House this year, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to wish you and everyone in the House, as well as my friends and neighbours, a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year.
The honourable member for Red Deer Lacombe.
Mr. Speaker, the cost of everyday essentials is rising, and thanks to the Liberal government, we can expect it to get worse. The government has driven up demand by pumping extra money into the economy, and now they are preparing to slash supply by bringing in vaccine mandates for truckers. There is already a shortage of truckers. The Canadian Trucking Alliance expects to be short 18,000 jobs by March, increasing to 55,000 by 2023. But this government only has a plan to reduce the workforce with a new federal vaccine mandate. This will kill jobs and drive up prices in all sectors, from agriculture to energy and everything in between, solely for the sake of being punitive to people that we used to call heroes only a few months ago. The fact that reasonable accommodation isn't being offered makes it clear that this is about coercion, not public health. The Liberals are about to create a catastrophic supply chain disruption. Instead of making life miserable for people who can't or won't get vaccinated, provide reasonable accommodations to get our economy back on track, get inflation under control, and make life more affordable for Canadians.
The honourable member for Fredericton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over the past 2 years, young people across the country have been struggling with increasing rates of mental distress. I've heard these concerns directly from my constituents in Fredericton. I think about all the students I met, managing the difficulties of online learning while being isolated from friends and experiencing financial stress. Young Canadians have been serving as essential workers on the front lines of the pandemic as well. From stocking grocery shelves to staffing vaccine clinics, they stepped up and put their own health at risk while trying to learn and build our collective future. I know that it hasn't been easy. My message to them today is one of validation, appreciation, and hope. And I want to say to young people that we see your struggles and we support you. Our government is putting historic investments to improve access to mental health services, including expanding access to services on college and university campuses. But there is much more work to do. I call on members from all sides of this House to work together to ensure that every young person in Canada can access affordable, timely, and culturally competent mental health care anywhere in the country. Our youth deserve nothing less.
The honourable member for Beauport-Limoilou. Mr. Speaker, in 1880, a newspaper called Le Lecteur was founded. A certain Wilfrid Laurier often wrote for it. One of his articles even caused the newspaper to be banned by 5 bishops because it advocated for the study of modern languages and the scientific method. It was this ban that gave birth to the newspaper rechristened Le Soleil in 1896. Yes, Mr. Speaker, the newspaper Le Soleil is celebrating its 125th anniversary. That's 125 years of critical journalism that traversed calm seas as well as stormy ones, managing to avoid the pitfalls that fell on its path over the years. That's 125 years of illuminating and informing the public. Today, Le Soleil is a cooperative owned by its own workers. It's published in print and online with in-depth articles on a variety of fascinating subjects. To everyone who works on producing this newspaper every day, I congratulate you for your work. Long live Le Soleil.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Longueuil-Charlemagne. Mr. Speaker, for many of us, the holiday season is a time of joy and celebration, an opportunity to reconnect with family and friends. But for some, it can be a particularly difficult time of year, and we know that this will be especially true this year. The citizens of Longueuil-Charlemagne have a long tradition of giving generously to the many local groups that organize fundraisers in our community to make the holidays a bit brighter for individuals and families in need.
And I encourage them to keep that spirit of giving going this year. The pandemic has been hard for everyone, but it can be doubly so for those who are alone, those who have lost a loved one, or may be struggling to make ends meet. Ensemble.
Together, let's make sure everyone has a better holiday season this year. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.
The Honourable Member for Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Mr. Speaker, in October, my constituency lost a cherished community member with the passing of Dwayne Lacoste. Dwayne served his country in countless ways. In 1961, he joined the RCMP, and he would serve in BC, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. Dwayne was even posted in Ottawa, where he provided security to Prime Minister Pearson and Governor General Vanier. Dwayne retired from the force as sergeant in the town of Minnedosa and went on to serve as mayor for 7 years. Dwayne was also a proud member of the Royal Canadian Legion for 47 years.
Wow.
As president of Branch 138, he started a project that resulted in over 100 banners displayed in the community, recognizing local men and women who served in uniform. In a life summary he wrote before he passed, he stated, "To my family, my friends, and the communities I have served, God bless and take care." Dwayne, thank you for your service. You will be missed.
You're here.
The Honourable Member for Halifax.
Mr. Speaker, today on what would have been his 97th birthday, we commemorate the late Dr. Richard Goldblum, a distinguished doctor, teacher, and philanthropist in Halifax. Dr. Goldblum passed away last month at the end of a purposeful life of service, excellence, and compassion, and he was predeceased by his wife of 66 years, the indomitable Ruth Goldblum. A renowned pediatrician who served as president of the Canadian Pediatric Society, Dr. Goldblum touched the lives of thousands of families and students throughout his career. His contributions to the scientific community are phenomenal, having published 140 scientific papers related to medicine. He also served as president of the Atlantic Symphony Orchestra, the board chair of the Waterfront Development Corporation, and the founding chair of the Discovery Center. Dr. Goldblum received numerous honorary doctorate degrees and was an officer of the Order of Canada and a recipient of the Order of Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, I hope that you and all members of this House will join me in a round of applause to commemorate the life of a man who gave so much to Canada.
The Honourable Member for Glengarry, Prescott Russell.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the not-for-profit organizations and their volunteers who've been working so hard to ensure that less fortunate families have a great holiday season. I'm thinking of the volunteers who spend hours organizing holiday food drives, whether you're in a grocery store collecting funds, organizing Christmas baskets at your local food bank, or delivering those Christmas baskets. Without you, the holiday season wouldn't be the same for hundreds of families in Glengarry, Prescott Russell. I also want to thank all of the residents who contribute to these holiday food drives. On behalf of the residents of Glengarry, Prescott Russell, I'd like to say thank you very much, and as we say in our area, you have your heart in the right place. I wish you a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season, and a Happy New Year.
For Brantford, Brent.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to rise in the House today to acknowledge the efforts of an incredibly dedicated and passionate woman who's been at the helm of a very special organization in my riding known as Crossing All Bridges Learning Centre, or CAB for short. For the past 7 years, Paula Tomlinson has been the executive director and the driving force behind the centre, which supports developmentally challenged adults. Paula joined the centre at a crucial time. The not-for-profit did not have a suitable place to provide programming for their students, and their goal was to obtain a home of their own. Paula was instrumental in making that dream become a reality, and in 2018, with the support of community leaders, organizations, individuals, CAB purchased a former school and now have a permanent location. Mr. Speaker, prior to the election, I had the pleasure of being the chair of the board of CAB and was able to witness Paula's undeniable commitment to persons with disabilities so they can truly live their best life. With a stable and bright future ahead for CAB, Paula will now embark on a well-deserved retirement. I would like to thank Paula from the bottom of my heart for her endless contributions to my community and wish her all the best in the next chapter of her life. Paula, you'll be missed.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member for Oakville North Burlington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The holidays are a time for special family traditions when we support one another so no one is left behind. This year, my office started a new tradition by joining the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton's holiday concert as steel pan drum performers, a joyous and wonderful way to start the holiday season. The need for help is greater than ever. I encourage Canadians to give if they can to local food banks, charities, and toy drives. Last week, I joined the Oakville firefighters who are continuing their long tradition of collecting donations so every child has a special holiday. Organizations like Oak Park Neighborhood Center are working overtime to ensure every family can celebrate the holidays. While we're still in a pandemic, we head into the holidays with hope for the coming year. Wishing everyone the wonder and joy the season brings, and may the spirit of the holidays remain with you throughout 2022. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, weather forecasters are predicting a cold and unpredictable winter. Will this be the winter that snowmobilers are waiting for? One thing is certain, we always need to know what the weather will be in order to make plans. Jimmy Desbiens, more popularly known as the Chicoutimi Weatherman, knows all about that. Since 2008, he's turned a hobby into a business. He works incredibly hard to provide citizens with quick access to local weather conditions. He's become our go-to for all things weather in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. By sharing his forecasts over the years, he's built a reliable service and a strong reputation. Recently, Mr. Desbiens was able to reap the rewards of his hard work. Météo Chicoutimi now has a contract with the city of Saguenay. Mr. Desbiens, you are an example of how determination, ardor, and perseverance can help us reach our goals. Being a small business owner is a way of life, and it's often only after thousands of hours of work that you get to see the results. So congratulations on your hard work over the last 13 years. Your success is well-deserved.
The honourable member for South Shore St. Margaret's.
Nova Scotia is the balsam fir Christmas tree capital of the world. Family farms across my province prepare every year for the busy Christmas season. Christmas tree farmers like former MP Gerald Keddy, former Senator Don Oliver, and Kevin Vino, who I buy my trees from, ship their trees around the world and open their farms to families, picking out the right tree. Christmas tree farming is an economic driver in my community and supports rural communities and families across Nova Scotia. The province of Nova Scotia exports more than $7 million worth of Christmas trees every year. If you care about the environment, don't buy a plastic tree from China. Buy a renewable, sustainable, and natural balsam tree from Nova Scotia. Save the planet, buy a tree from Lunenburg or Queens County. As we approach the holiday break, I hope everyone in my riding and all the members present and their families have a very Merry Christmas, and all the tree farmers have a successful Christmas season.
The honourable member for Guelph.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are familiar with nuclear power and its role in getting us to net zero. But what may be lesser known is that Canada is also a world leader in producing life-saving medical isotopes and radiopharmaceuticals. In addition to their role in sanitizing billions of pieces of personal protective equipment during the pandemic, advanced medical isotopes are also used to diagnose and treat millions of patients each year, while also supporting cutting-edge research into cancer, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. With demand expected to double by 2023, I'm proud to highlight the work being done by the Canadian Medical Isotope Innovation Ecosystem in partnership with the Saugeen Ojibwa Nation, which will help Canada deliver on goals related to economic reconciliation, inclusion, and rural economic development. Mr. Speaker, this work ensures that Canadians continue to have access to cutting-edge therapies while providing over 8,500 jobs across Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Hamilton Centre.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for allowing me to end 2021 on a high note by sharing my gratitude to the people of Hamilton Centre who put their trust on me to return to this 44th Parliament and ensure that our working class values continue to be well represented here in the House of Commons. To my riding association and the hundreds of campaign volunteers who mobilized to go door to door, street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood, I say from the Hamilton Centre of my heart, thank you. To my family, both blood and chosen, who act as my deep roots of grounding, please know that with your strength I may from time to time be forced to bend, but I will never break. And finally, with my deepest and uttermost gratitude to my incredible spouse Jade and our dear son Langston, for whom I will never stop fighting to build a better world for. Thank you for your sacrifices that you have given to this work, which, while bears my name, continues to be a burden that you both have to carry. I love you all dearly. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year's, and thank you.
The Honourable Member for Thérèse de Blainville. Mr. Speaker, as the holidays approach, here are my wishes for the coming year. For workers who don't have access to EI because of outdated eligibility rules, I wish you comprehensive reform of the EI system very soon. For workers who are so sick that they can't even be treated with dignity, I wish them 50 weeks of benefits, starting now. For workers under federal jurisdiction who've seen their employer hiring strikebreakers, I wish them anti-scab legislation to be passed soon. For healthcare workers, I wish for an increase in the health transfers to 35%, with no strings attached, starting right now. And for Quebecers, who all have the right to make their own decisions, I wish them once and for all a country of their own.
The Honourable Member for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston.
It was the week before Christmas, with from the House floor, MPs rewriting the verses of Clement Moore, whose Night Before Christmas we all know so well, yet spoofing it just right can be hard as hell. When writing my version last year at this time, it was hard to make AstraZeneca rhyme. The task poets now face on the path that we're on is finding a word that rhymes with Omicron. In the year when the best gift under the tree is likely to be booster dose number 3, it's hard to remember the joy of the season when nature and governments give us no reason. The nation's debt load is now $500 billion, but hope springs eternal, so thanks a million. To those who bring joy into all of our lives, caregivers, friends, children, husbands, and wives, whether your home is Whoville, Perth, or Timbuktu, Merry Christmas to all. Merry Christmas to you.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. حسن تو همیشه در فزون باد. رویت همه ساله لالگون باد. اندر سر ما خیال عشقت. هر روز که باد در فزون باد. Mr. Speaker, these lines are from Noble Hafez, a Persian poet whose renowned work, Divan Hafez, is engaged for telling fortunes during the celebratory occasion of Yalda. On December 21st, I will join fellow Persians within Richmond Hill and across the globe in Yalda festivities, when we mark the winter solstice by enjoying good company, the delight of traditional foods, and the divinity of poetry. Please join me in wishing all who celebrate Shab Yalda a happy and safe celebration, and thanks to all for their continued support. Shab Yalda همیشه جاودانی است. زمستان را بهار زندگانی است. شب یلدا شب فر و کیان است. نشان از سنت ایرانیان است. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy holiday. Happy New Year.
Oral questions. Question orale. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, a year ago, the Minister of Finance said there would be deflation in Canada. She promised
prices would go down for Canadian families. Instead, we've seen groceries go up 15 to 20%. We've seen gas go up 40%, Mr. Speaker. We've seen housing, rent, mortgages go up 20 to 30%. She misled Canadians with the deflation promise. And today, in the mandate letter for the Minister of Finance, no mention of the inflation crisis. Why?
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the person who is misleading Canadians when it comes to the economy is the Leader of the Opposition. Here are the facts. Our GDP grew by 5.4% in the third quarter. We have recovered 106% of the jobs lost to the pandemic. As Stephen Poloz, the central banker appointed by Mr. Harper, put it over the weekend, aren't we lucky that the policies worked well to prevent the second Great Depression, which is what economists worried about when we first encountered COVID? That's the reality, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the reality is the Minister of Finance was the first Canadian politician to ever be flagged for misleading Canadians online, Mr. Speaker. It is quite rich for that minister to suggest other people are misleading Canadians when she has been flagged just like Donald Trump was, Mr. Speaker. So it's almost the end of the year. It's almost the end of the year. I will give the minister the opportunity to apologize to Canadians for misleading them during the federal election.
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to allow the Leader of the Opposition to stop flip-flopping and to choose an economic lane, something his caucus might appreciate too. Today, the Conservatives are complaining about government spending, but on the campaign trail, they proposed a deficit of $168 billion for 21-22. In the fall economic update, we showed a deficit for that year of $144.5 billion, $23.5 billion lower than what the Conservatives proposed. So could the Leader of Flip-Flops please let Canadians know what he really stands for?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I would note Donald Trump doesn't apologize either.
Mr. Speaker, the cost of living crisis is the worst it's been in decades. It's a disaster. Some families have to choose between heating and eating this winter, and wages are not rising. Mr. Speaker, it's unacceptable. Do the Liberals understand the choices Canadians are having to make because of their inflation? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Here are the facts, Mr. Speaker. Our GDP grew by 5.4% in the third quarter. We have recovered 106% of the jobs lost. And as Stephen Poloz said, who was appointed by Stephen Harper, we are fortunate that policies worked well to avoid the second Great Depression, as feared by economists when we were faced with the COVID shock. That's the fact, Mr. Speaker.
Bulpeck could have asked the Prime Minister a question of the potato crisis in PEI yesterday. Didn't do it. Nope. The Liberal member from Cardigan had this message for island farmers. No matter what happens, the government can help, but farmers will lose. He's right. Under the Liberals, farmers always lose. The PEI Premier is questioning why the Agriculture Minister isn't in Washington. Maybe it's because resolving this dispute isn't even in her mandate letter. Why isn't the Agriculture Minister in Washington putting all her potato chips on the table and resolving this dispute?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me assure all farmers across our amazing country, very much including the farmers in PEI, that our government is extremely focused on supporting farmers in general and on supporting farmers when it comes to this trade issue. I was sitting next to the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, when he raised this issue directly with the President of the United States. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? We will take no lessons from the Conservatives when it comes to standing up to the U.S. Canadians know they back down from the Americans in a fight.
The honourable member for Foothills.
Farmers are very thankful the Liberals will take no lessons from the Conservatives when it comes to Canadian agriculture. I spoke to PEI farmers this morning, and one of them had to say this: with the stroke of a pen, the Liberals have destroyed everything I've worked for 6 generations. And now the Agriculture Minister is saying this dispute will not be resolved until the new year. But CFIA is telling island farm families this half-baked ban will likely last until 2023. How many harvests will be lost? How many businesses will be bankrupt? How many farmers will lose before this minister lifts this political ban on potato exports?
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me once again say to Canadian farmers that they should not listen to the scaremongering they're hearing from Conservatives. They need to know that our government cares passionately about Canadian farmers. We know the importance of family farms to our economy. And let me also remind Canadian farmers that our government is prepared to stand up for the national interest when it comes to trade with the United States. Canadian farmers know that from the coal dispute we had right after we were first elected in 2015.
The honourable member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, secularism and Bills 21 are being attacked by a united front at the federal level, including elected officials from all parties, starting with the Prime Minister himself. But what's worse is that this united front is spreading falsehoods. The secularism of the state is not discriminatory. It applies to everyone. Ms. Anvary didn't lose her job. She was reassigned. And she wasn't reassigned because of her religion, but because she knowingly broke the law. When will the government stop spreading these Quebec-bashing falsehoods? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, as the Prime Minister said yesterday, we disagree with Bill 21. In our society, no one should have to change jobs because of their religion. That is the position of our government and of our party. We agree with Quebecers who are standing up for their rights before the courts because they, too, find this legislation unfair. The honourable member for La Prairie. It keeps going. It's so funny, Mr. Speaker. Canadian cities are now climbing on the Quebec-bashing bandwagon. Yesterday, it was Brampton that announced funding to challenge Bill 21, calling Quebecers racists along the way. Today, it's Toronto that's getting on board. The worst part is they don't even know what they're talking about. They don't understand secularism, and they don't understand Bill 21. Not least because elected officials here in Ottawa are spreading falsehoods. Instead of using ideology to smear Quebecers, will the government announce that it respects our democratic choices and won't challenge them in court? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague from the Bloc for his question. It's true, I'm a member from Toronto, and I was born in Alberta. But I do want to sincerely say to Bloc members and to all Quebecers that our government is working closely with the government of Quebec and the municipalities in Quebec, and even with Bloc members, to support Quebecers. Don't try to pick a fight between us and Quebec City, please.
Mr. Burnaby.
Today, there are more than 2,007 COVID cases in Quebec alone, even with new restrictions to avoid the spread. This suggests that people, once again, will lose their jobs. But this time, there's nothing to support them. No CERB, no CRB, no wage subsidy for small businesses. How can this government cut this urgent assistance when we're facing what could be the worst part of the pandemic? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. I'd like to sincerely thank my colleague for his question, because I truly believe that COVID is the most serious issue we face today. And that's why I hope all members will support Bill C-2. That bill will create the support people need and companies need in case there's another lockdown, precisely because we agree with the NDP member that those supports are necessary. So I hope all members will vote in favor of Bill C-2. The Honourable Member for New Westminster, Burnaby.
Cases are increasing everywhere, and people are already gearing up for a reduced limit of people in stores and restaurants to limit the spread. This means people will once again be out of work. Except for this time, there is nothing to help them. No CERB for workers, no wage subsidy for small businesses. How can this government cut help for people when we're up against possibly the worst of this pandemic?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would really like to thank the member opposite for that important question. I think that COVID is the greatest challenge facing Canada today, and that's why I focused on it in the economic and fiscal update. And I agree with him that we need to have support measures in place for people in businesses in the event of additional lockdowns. That's why I urge all members of this House to support Bill C-2. It would create precisely those tools. We need them. I really hope all members will support this bill.
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I guess it's Throwback Thursday. The Silence of the Lambs and the Beauty and the Beast were on the big screen. Bryan Adams' I Do It For You topped the charts. Mushroom cuts were in vogue, and the World Wide Web was first introduced to the public. That was the last time inflation was this high. That was 30 years ago. When will the Prime Minister realize that his disastrous policies are to blame for our record-breaking inflation?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let's ignore conservative scaremongering and look at the global facts. In the U.S., November inflation was 6.8%, an increase from October. In Germany, November inflation was 6%, an increase from October. In the UK, November inflation 5.1%, an increase from October. Meanwhile, in Canada, inflation is lower than in all of these countries and did not increase from October to November.
The Honourable Member for Fort McMurray Cold Lake.
Merci, Monsieur le
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadian families are already being pushed to the limit and are having a hard time making ends meet. Inflation is at 4.7%, the highest level since 1991, and the Prime Minister doesn't consider monetary policy a priority. When will the Prime Minister take the time to think about monetary policy? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, we all agree that the cost of living is a challenge. But I'm not hearing a lot of solutions coming from the Conservatives. So let me suggest one. Let's support all Canadians working in tourism. Let's support all workers who work in restaurants. And let's support all of the hardest hit companies in Canada by supporting Bill C-2.
For Hastings, Lennox, and Addington.
While working Canadians struggle to make ends meet, the Finance Minister continues to mislead Canadians by arguing that our economy is strong. That may be the case for some, but the conversations around the kitchen tables in rural Canada tell a very different story.
That's right.
Bills are piling up and credit cards are maxed. Just inflation has Canadians at their breaking point financially and emotionally. When will this government take bold action to strengthen the economy and combat inflation instead of repeating tired, old talking points?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government understands that to pay your bills, the single most important thing is to have a job or to keep your business afloat. And that's why when COVID hit, we took immediate action. We have recovered every single one of the 3 million lost jobs and more. And fewer businesses have gone bankrupt over the past year than in the year before COVID. Conservative austerity would have devastated the lives of millions of Canadians. We are proud to have acted decisively to save jobs and businesses. That's how you make life affordable, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Peterborough Kawartha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not sure how that member is talking about making life affordable. Regardless, a job doesn't keep people from being hungry. 1 in 8 people who visit food banks are employed. The growing costs of housing, rent, and grocery prices are affecting those struggling the most to make ends meet, particularly single parents. Over 30% of visitors at food banks in Canada are children. This is wrong, this is heartbreaking, and it needs to change now. When will these Liberals stop the just inflation crisis, which is hurting our most precious commodity, our children?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's hard to take the Conservatives seriously when...
We had a little bit of a glitch there. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's hard to take the Conservatives seriously that they care about single parents or children when they voted against the Canada Child Benefit. It's hard to take them seriously when they campaigned on getting rid of the Canada-wide early learning and childcare system.
I'm sorry. I missed the whole. I missed the whole answer. I'm going to ask the Minister to repeat right from the start.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, it's very difficult to take the Conservatives seriously that they care about single parents and children when they voted against the Canada Child Benefit, which helped lift 400,000 Canadian children out of poverty. It's hard to take them seriously when they campaigned against getting rid of the Canada Early Learning and Childcare System. Let me tell you, Mr. Speaker, we are making a difference. Families right across this country are going to see a 50% reduction in fees as of January, right through the end of this year, and that is going to help them with the cost of living, and it's going to make sure our kids get the very best possible start in life. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Regina Lew.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, we gave this government an opportunity to do the right thing by Saskatchewan and remove a long-standing tax exemption in our Constitution. Rather than do the right thing and ensure that a large profitable corporation pays their share of taxes, the Liberals decided to block our attempts to stand up for Saskatchewan. Mr. Speaker, I asked the Minister of Justice, can we work together to ensure that the people of Saskatchewan aren't left paying the bill for a sweetheart deal that was made over 150 years ago, or will the Liberals continue to ignore my province?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for his question and his concern on the issue. Mr. Speaker, we have agreed as a government to a take-note debate on this in February. Our objection yesterday, Mr. Speaker, was on the fact that one does not make a constitutional amendment on a UC motion without ever having discussed it or debated at any forum in this House, Mr. Speaker. We respect Saskatchewan. We will do that take-note debate, and we will act accordingly.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, farmers depend on effective rail service. They can't get paid for their hard work if they can't ship their crops to market. Now a foreign hedge fund has started a campaign to take over the board of CN Rail with a plan to make service cuts to maximize profits for shareholders. Farmers know what happens when service is cut back in the interest of shareholders. Terminals can't get cars to load and ships sit empty waiting. When will the government take action to protect farmers, ensure healthy competition and reliable rail service?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, our government will continue to advocate for efficient and safe rail service. The fluidity and reliability of our supply chain is critical to our economy. I've been hearing about this ongoing situation with CN in the media and also in popular podcasts. CN is responsible for its own leadership decision, but let me assure you, Mr. Speaker, and assure my honourable colleague, that our government will take action to continue to protect the interest of Canadians, the safety and reliability of our rail network, to ensure fluid supply chains. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député. The honourable member for Joliette. Mr. Speaker, the economic update isn't exactly historic, but it does say a lot about the Prime Minister's priorities. At the heart of this document is the promise of a fight with Quebec and the provinces over health care. 5 days after all the premiers demanded a meeting to negotiate an increase in funding, this Prime Minister announces that he will not agree to a single penny more until 2027. Why is the government picking a fight when everyone should be united in supporting our healthcare workers against Omicron?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for raising this question. Instead of picking a fight, on the contrary, we're working in a cooperative fashion and have been over the past 21 months. I had another meeting with all my provincial counterparts, the health ministers, just last night, and it's important now to work together to avoid the looming crisis with the Omicron variant. We all agree on the importance of accelerating booster shots and making sure that rapid tests are available to people who need them. We're going to continue telling people that they have to follow public health guidelines because we want Canada to have the soundest system in the world to get through this wave. The honourable member for Jonquière. Oh, yeah, that's right. Mr. Speaker, recent developments are a stark reminder that we're still in a health crisis while our healthcare system is still overwhelmed. And yet this week, despite Quebec's announcement of new restrictions due to fears of the Omicron variant, despite Ottawa's recommendation to cancel travel plans, despite the fact that the Liberal Party has placed itself on telework, despite all that, the government presented an economic update in which it still refuses to increase health transfers before 2027. Is there anyone on the other side who can explain that to me? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my colleague gives me the opportunity to remind everyone of two very important things: solidarity and the importance of federalism in recent months. Without the cooperation of all levels of government, we would have had thousands of additional deaths. We would have suffered much greater economic losses, and the health and safety of millions of Canadians would have been further imperiled. So I'd like to thank everyone for their outstanding cooperativeness, and it shows that the more we work together, the stronger we are and the further we will go. The honourable member for Jonquière. Oh, well, that was impassioned. Mr. Speaker, no one's questioning the government's spending during the pandemic. The problem is that before the pandemic, they cut their share of healthcare funding year after year. Today, they're saying they're going to start cutting their share again, all the way until 2027. The feds weren't doing their share yesterday, and now they're confirming they won't be doing their share tomorrow. This confirms they've learned no lessons from COVID, not even from exhausted healthcare personnel. It's exasperating, Mr. Speaker. How is it possible to be so insensitive to the reality in our healthcare facilities? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Heritage.
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker. I think the Bloc should just take a second and acknowledge how much Canada stepped up for Quebec. And they should recognize that we can work together, all with the federal government, with all the provinces. 8 out of $10 in spending in the pandemic were spent there. We've always been there for vaccines, rapid tests, PPE. We've always worked with Quebec, but it hurts the Bloc too much to recognize that because all they want is squabble, squabble, squabble.
Yesterday, we learned that housing inflation hit a record 25%. Bloomberg says we have the second biggest housing bubble in the world. But where's the money coming from? After all, the wages with which Canadians buy housing are down in real terms. The number of immigrants are also down. So to the Minister of Finance, if the number of people and the amount of wages needed to buy homes are down, and yet house prices are up, where is the money coming from?
The Honourable Minister for Housing.
Proud to be part of a government that has brought federal leadership back into the housing sector. We've invested over $27 billion since coming into office. brought in the National Housing Strategy, and brought in measures to help Canadians with housing supply, with access to affordable housing, with rent support, and so on. But when the Conservatives had the opportunity to do the right thing last night by voting in a tax against foreign home buyers, they voted against it. So, Mr. Speaker, they have no credibility on this issue.
Well done. Honourable Member for Carleton.
Well, the Finance Minister has gone into hiding on this housing inflation question. Her officials tell Globe and Mail that she's been skipping her briefings, so perhaps she didn't have the answer. But I'll ask it again. Housing price inflation hit a record 25%. Yeah. Even though the wages with which Canadians buy housing is down, the GDP is still down from 2019 levels. So given that we have less wealth with which to buy housing, where is the money coming from?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we respect Canadians and we respect that Canadians need help with the high cost of living. Unfortunately, the member from Carleton refers to support for childcare as a slush fund for families. Mr. Speaker, that's offensive to families, it's offensive to children, and it's offensive to dealing with the very real high costs of living that Canadians are facing. But on this side of the House, we're going to be there to support Canadians, support families, and make sure they have the tools and the resources they need for success. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Carleton.
Well, I referred to their $100 billion of new and unnecessary spending as a slush fund. That is $6,600 in new costs for every single family in Canada. Wow. And we know those families can't afford to pay it, even if the Finance Minister isn't hiding from this question. The reality is house prices are up 25%, the worst housing inflation on record and the second worst housing bubble in the world. So with wages actually down, meaning the money with which people buy houses has dropped, where is the money coming from?
The Honourable Minister for Families.
Mr. Speaker, I would appreciate if the member from Carleton would apologize to hardworking families for saying that support for childcare is akin to a slush fund, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House.
I'm sorry, but I'm trying to hear the answer, and it's just too much noise in here. And the Honourable Order. The Honourable Member for Carleton wants to hear what the response is. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, it is on this side of the House that we understand that there is a high cost of living, and that is specifically why we are helping hardworking families with the high cost of childcare. It is specifically why we are helping hardworking families to access more affordable housing and housing affordability. Unfortunately, the members of opposite just don't get it and aren't proposing anything that would actually help Canadian families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Griesbach.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. 4 years ago, the federal government promised funding for the LGBTQ Community Capacity Fund to help make up for decades of systemic discrimination. But it will run out of funding this March. This government can't expect to repair harm and discrimination with only one round of grants. They must keep their promise. Will the Liberals give the 2S LGBTQI community the long-term, stable financial support we need?
The Honourable Minister of Housing.
Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for the question. We, as a government, have always stood up for the rights of the LGBTQ2 community domestically and abroad. We always consult with the community on ways to increase the capacity of community organizations, including in the LGBTQ2 community, to serve more Canadians and to serve fellow community members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well done. Member for Esquimalt, Saanich-Sooke.
Mr. Speaker, in addition to falling short on funding capacity building for 2S LGBTQI organizations in Canada, the Liberals are also failing to do their part to defend our rights abroad. This in an increasingly dangerous world where in countries like Afghanistan, being queer is now literally a death sentence. One simple and effective step that community advocates and New Democrats have been calling for since 2015 would be the appointment of a Canadian Special Envoy for LGBTQ rights. Will the government act now in this time of crisis in places like Afghanistan and appoint a Canadian special envoy to help advance and protect LGBTQ rights around the world?
The Honourable Minister for Families.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to thank my honourable colleague for what is a very important question. In my former position as Minister of International Development, I was very pleased to be able to work with him and advocates around this country and around the world to ensure that Canada was playing its part to protect and support the LGBTQ2+ community right around the world. We know that there are so many places around the world where it is not safe to be who you are and to love who you are. And I am very pleased to continue to do this work and to ensure that we are providing that support, that protection here at home and right around the world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for London West.
Mr. Speaker, last year our government launched its first ever Black entrepreneurship program to help Black Canadian business owners and entrepreneurs. Yesterday, we took another step in supporting Black Canadians as we made an announcement about the Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub component of the program. Could the Minister of Small Business and Economic Development inform the House on how the Knowledge Hub will benefit and empower Black entrepreneurs and business owners across the country? And I also would like to take this moment to wish her a happy birthday.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government firmly believes in creating a strong and more inclusive economy. I was very proud to announce this week the establishment of the Black Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, a partnership between Carleton University and the Dream Legacy Foundation. Once operational, the Knowledge Hub will conduct research and collect data on Black entrepreneurship in Canada and identify barriers to success as well as opportunities to help Black Canadian business owners grow their business. We're excited and we are looking forward to the outcome and the great work that the Knowledge Hub is going to be doing.
For Abbotsford.
Canada must say no to Huawei. Yesterday, the Washington Post reported that Huawei is promoting facial and voice recognition software that helps them track shoppers, helps them monitor political dissidents, and manage re-education camps. This is appalling. Yet while Canada's most trusted allies are banning Huawei from their networks, our government refuses to act. So again to the minister, when will the minister say no way to Huawei?
The Honourable Minister of Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the honourable colleague for the question. He knows that one of the priority of this government is to keep our network safe, Mr. Speaker. We know that the network is one of the most critical infrastructure for now and for generations to come. And an experienced member like him would understand that when you're taking a decision like that, the lens which you look at that is national security, Mr. Speaker. We understand that on this side of the House. I wish colleagues would understand as well. Merci.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford.
3 years this government promised to have a decision within a few weeks. Our own intelligence agencies have warned this Prime Minister against allowing Huawei into our 5G networks. Turns out they were right. For years, Huawei denied that it was a tool of the communist regime in Beijing. Now we have evidence that the company is deeply implicated in designing surveillance tools to keep track of millions, if not billions, of people around the world. Is that acceptable to this minister? And will he make a decision on Huawei before the year end? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for what is a very important question because he is a very senior member on the other side of the aisle. He understands these issues, Mr. Speaker. Like Canadians are watching, they understand. Very senior.
I'll let the minister continue.
Yes or no, Minister?
So we can. The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank you for making sure I can continue to explain to my esteemed colleague the importance of the network in Canada. And Mr. Speaker, Canadians were watching. We're just before Christmas. They're watching this question period, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure. One thing that they understand is that we, on this side of the aisle, we understand what national security is about, and we will make the right decision for this generation and future generation.
L'honorable député de Charbot.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, how much more evidence does the Prime Minister need to ban Huawei? This week, the Washington Post reported that Huawei was marketing its technologies to governments on the basis that it can identify individuals by voice and monitor political individuals of interest. The Prime Minister knows that under the Chinese Communist regime, companies must share information with the government if necessary. By using that technology in Canada, that means that Canadian information would be placed at the disposal of the Chinese Communist government. Will the Prime Minister commit to making a decision on Huawei by the end of the year? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for his important question. Mr. Speaker, he is familiar with issues of national security. Therefore, he will understand that when it comes to the telecom network, Mr. Speaker, we know how important the network is, both today and for coming generations. My colleague understands that. Quebecers and Canadians watching us throughout the country today know that this government takes national security seriously. Mr. Speaker, we will make the best decision in the interest of Canada. The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, indeed, I care about national security issues. And when it comes to the Five Eyes group, 4 out of 5 decided to ban Huawei because it's a threat. Why can't Canada realize that it should do the same thing? It shouldn't allow Huawei for 5G, especially based on the evidence that we saw in the Washington Post this week. Huawei is using the information to spy on citizens, and it can send that information to the Chinese Communist Party. When will the Prime Minister make a decision? Will it be by the end of the year? Yes or no? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for his important question. Canadians watching us today before Christmas understand the importance of the telecommunications network. I greatly respect my colleague. He very well understands the importance of national security, and so I am sure that he wants us to make the very best decision in the interest of Canadians, placing national security above other concerns, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Montarville. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to COVID-19, science is clear. Globally, no one is safe until everyone is safe. We are dealing with new variants that have emerged in countries with overly low vaccination levels due to a lack of resources. This is not rocket science. We need to waive patents for vaccines so that developing countries can procure and produce them. Ottawa should also support logistics support when necessary. Will this government put pressure on government and industry?
Merci, Monsieur le Président, et merci à mon collègue de poser cette.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for this important question. This is one of the tools we are considering, but right now, we need to focus on double and triple vaccination for eligible Canadians. We know that a severe Omicron wave is starting. Internationally, we have already promised 200 million vaccine doses to be delivered by the end of 2022, as well as a $2.5 billion commitment to developing countries to help them administer these vaccines as quickly as possible. The Honourable Member for Montarville. Mr. Speaker, the government doesn't seem to understand that variants are developing because there is a lack of vaccination throughout the world. Currently, negotiations are stalled regarding vaccine patent waivers in developing countries. Canada's passivity is endangering entire populations, and it is making these countries an involuntary potential source of variants instead of enabling them to produce vaccines that would increase the vaccination level of the entire world. Will this government commit to putting pressure on the international stage, specifically at the WTO, so that rich countries and their pharma companies can finally waive these patents?
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the honourable member for that really important question, and let me just be very clear. Our government has always been and will always be a strong advocate for vaccine equity. Canada is taking leadership at the WTO to work with the international community to making sure that the global trading system contributes to remove...
One moment, I believe we have l'honorable député de la Prairie.
On n'entend pas la traduction en français, Monsieur le Président. Je suis désolé.
French interpretation is not currently audible. The Honourable Minister will start over.
Through, est-ce que oui, ça fonctionne. So if the Honourable Minister can start over again so that they can be heard in both official languages.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let me thank my honourable colleague for that really important question. And let me be clear that our government has always been and will always be a strong advocate for equity in vaccine to everywhere around the world. Canada is taking leadership at the WTO, working with the international community to make sure that the global trading system can contribute to removing barriers to vaccine access. I just had a meeting with Ottawa Group members this morning. We're advancing issues like it includes IP, but it actually also includes supply chain, production, export restrictions. Our government's going to continue doing this very important work with the international community.
Member for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound.
Mr. Speaker, I had the privilege of speaking to a grade 10 civics class this morning in my riding of Bruce Grey, Owen Sound. So I asked for their feedback on Bill C-5. They'd like to know if the government is willing to amend the bill and keep mandatory minimums for 1. Extortion with a firearm, 2, importing and exporting or possession of drugs for the purpose of exporting, and 3, the production of hard drugs, i.e. heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, and crystal meth. In their opinion, these serious crimes make sense with mandatory minimums. If these kids get it, why doesn't the government?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, what this government does get is that mandatory minimum penalties have been an abject failure in all regards. They don't work. They don't work to increase or decrease criminality. They don't work to decrease recidivism. And all they do is clog up the criminal justice system, cause delays, and have a serious disproportionate impact on systemic racism. Mr. Speaker, serious crimes in our system will always carry serious consequences. All of the crimes named where the situation is serious will carry a serious maximum sentence.
The Honourable Member for Fundy Royal.
Well, Mr. Speaker, according to the Public Health Agency of Canada, the supply of fentanyl is a key factor in their just-released projections of the rising number of opioid-related deaths that Canadians should expect to see over the next 6 months. At the very same time, this Liberal government is trying to eliminate jail time for the very people charged with producing, importing, and trafficking fentanyl. Can the Minister of Justice tell Canadians why his government is trying to make life easier for the drug producers and traffickers fueling the opioid crisis?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, once again, I would ask the opposition to stop misleading Canadians. Serious drug traffickers, Mr. Speaker.
Thanks for letting us know.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, people charged with serious drug crimes, with trafficking, with importing, Mr. Speaker, will always face serious consequences in our criminal justice system. That is simply the case. All the minimum mandatory penalties do, Mr. Speaker, is clog up the system, is increase systemic racism and the impact of systemic racism within the system. Mr. Speaker, the statistics show that the opposition's policy of tough on crime is an abject failure, and we're going to move beyond it and treat health problems as health problems and criminal justice problems as criminal justice problems.
For Fundy Royal.
Well, Mr. Speaker, they're doing just the opposite. 4,000 opioid-related deaths by June. That's the projection just announced yesterday by this government's own agency. That's not just a number. That's 4,000 Canadians who have families, friends, and plans for the future. The opioid crisis has affected the communities of every single member of this House. Will this government finally consider the victims of this crisis over their efforts to eliminate jail time for the criminals importing, producing, and trafficking these deadly drugs?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to our colleague for asking this very important question. He is right. The opioid crisis is a terrible crisis. On average, about 20 people die of it every day. So that's why we need to do things that take into account all sorts of measures that are going to be helpful and save lives. We are putting into place, in collaboration with provinces and territories and municipalities, measures to reduce harm, reduce risk, provide safe provision, safe access to safe drugs, work that we also work with provinces and territories to make sure that they have access to services.
The Honourable Member for Vancouver Granville.
Monsieur le Président, les électeurs de ma circonscription.
Mr. Speaker, voters in my riding in Vancouver Granville have felt the effects of COVID-19 in all aspects of their lives. But thanks to this government's prudent fiscal management, we are seeing strong economic recovery. Can the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance tell this House about some of the measures included in the last economic statement, which will continue to buttress the recovery? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for his question. What we have learned over the last 21 months is that the most important economic policy is a solid health policy. In the economic and fiscal update, I announced $2 billion to buy therapeutics for COVID-19, $1.7 billion for rapid tests, $7.3 billion to buy booster doses. That is what we're doing, Mr. Speaker.
Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, Veterans Affairs Canada is cutting caseworkers in March, despite veterans and their families waiting up to 2 years for the benefits that they're entitled to. Last year alone, their department left over $635 million totally unspent. This is not helping veterans. When will this government take action and address the veterans' care crisis?
The Honourable Minister.
I appreciate my honourable colleague's question and concern. As he's well aware, we have made a number of investments in Veterans Affairs, and we have hired over 400 caseworkers. And as been indicated in our platform, we will make more.
I'm going to ask the minister if he's got a headset handy, if he could use it. I'm sorry.
I do not.
I'm sorry, if the Honourable Minister has a headset handy, if he can use that for the answer. Doesn't have one? Okay, the Honourable Government House Leader. Just one moment.
On this side of the House, we know how important it is to invest in veterans. That's why we reversed the cuts that we saw in veterans' offices right across this country as we watched the essential services that veterans were getting be cut. And
one moment, I believe the interpretation has stopped, so I'll ask the Honourable Government House Leader. As it started again, est-ce que l'interprétation a commencé? It started again, we're good. I'll let the Government House Leader start from the beginning and answer that question, please.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Dans cette côté, on
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we understand the service of our veterans, and we know that some need help. It's unfortunate that cuts have been made to their services.
French for cuts, but I'll tell you something. What was done to our veterans was absolutely unacceptable. We are going to be there for our veterans every step of the way, making sure that we restore those cuts and support them.
Beauce.
Monsieur le Président.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Agriculture signed an agreement with Quebec in August in order to increase the rate of temporary foreign workers in agri-food from 10 to 20%. Unfortunately, nothing has happened since then. Excel d'Or, the biggest poultry slaughterhouse in Quebec, is lacking up to 300 workers, which means that chickens are being culled. They're being sacrificed, as is producers' income. A question for the Minister. When will the 20% rate be applied in Quebec? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, I'd like to reassure my colleague. The agreement with Quebec was signed last summer. It was a first step. Quebec is working with the unions as requested. Having done that, it spoke to the Minister of Labour, which accepted the request. So the procedure is underway. And I'm looking forward to the time when our agri-food companies can take advantage of this opportunity to hire up to 20% temporary foreign workers. The Honourable Member for Montmagny-Lille, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup. Well, Mr. Speaker, we're hearing a lot about procedures and processes, but Sébastien Charrois, a poultry producer in my riding, is at the end of his rope. He can't find anyone to transport chickens from his farm to the slaughterhouse because these transportation companies can't get temporary foreign workers on time. So I have a simple question. Tens of thousands of chickens might be culled as a result of this. What will this government do in order to fix the situation and ensure that temporary foreign workers can put an end to this? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our temporary foreign workers programs are extremely important, especially for the agri-food and agricultural industry. In collaboration with the Ministers of Labour and Immigration, we are working hard to move forward in a reform of the system. We want to recognize good employers, which is the vast majority of employers in the agricultural sector. We want to speed up the process and increase the rate of temporary foreign workers in these companies. Thank you.
Agent Court. For a Scarborough Agent Court. The Honourable Member for Mississauga, Erin Mills.
Mr. Speaker, since my motion 103 in 2017, we've changed the conversation so that no federal leader can ever pretend that Islamophobia is not a threat. We've made progress since then, including a national summit earlier this year, but as long as Muslim Canadians fear for their safety in the workplace or walking down the street, we have to do more. Can the Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion please tell this House what the government is doing to continue combating Islamophobia in Canada?
Minister for Housing.
Mr. Speaker, Islamophobia is real and a troubling fact. That is why earlier this past summer, we held a national summit on Islamophobia to hear directly from community members about their lived experiences, but also taking concrete steps on how we can assist them further. I'm pleased to inform the Honourable Member from Mississauga, Erin Mills, that we will take further action, including dedicated resources to tackle Islamophobia and working with Muslim Canadians on the appointment of a special representative to tackle Islamophobia. On this side of the House, we will continue to fight hatred in Canada to keep communities safe, Mr. Speaker.
For North Island, Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, seniors across this country who had their GIS cut off can't afford food, medicine, heat, rent. Some of them are already homeless, and some of them are at risk to be homeless soon. For months, the NDP asked this government to fix the problem. Finally, there was an announcement that gave seniors across this country hope for a one-time payment. Sadly, today we found out that payment isn't coming till May. This government should be ashamed. Seniors are losing everything, and they are doing nothing. When will the Prime Minister stop turning his back on the seniors of this country?
Honourable Minister for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, since day one, our government has prioritized being there for the most vulnerable. For low-income seniors with the greatest need, Mr. Speaker, we have increased the OAS and GIS. Mr. Speaker, we know during the pandemic, working seniors needed income support, and they shouldn't be penalized for it now. That's why, Mr. Speaker, our government is making a major investment through a one-time payment for seniors who have had their benefits affected. Mr. Speaker, seniors can be rest assured we will always be there for them.
The honourable member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, back in 2015, the Liberals promised to end all boil water advisories in First Nation communities within 5 years. Yet today, 42 advisories remain in 30 communities. A recent Parliamentary Budget Officer report calls out a significant gap. 138 million more is needed in annual operating spending. When will the government allocate the resources necessary to fulfill their 2015 promise and ensure that every First Nation community has what every person in Canada deserves, access to clean drinking water?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I can reassure you that this government has every intention of working hand in glove with Indigenous communities to raise all long-term boil water advisories. And Mr. Speaker, our work is paying off. In fact, 74% of long-term boil water advisories have been lifted since we've been in government. In fact, we have another 16% of long-term boil water advisories under construction. And Mr. Speaker, we won't rest until we get this done.
That's all the time we have for question period today, and we have a point of order. The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. We all recognize the fact that a lot of people are now on a hybrid system, and we do respect that, and there is no problem with that. But when there is a problem, when the minister or anyone else doesn't have the headset, time is running out. The minister of les Anciens Combattants spoke during 14 seconds when finally recognized that he has not the headset correctly. And then my honourable counterpart, with very efficient speech, I do recognize that, spoke for 30 seconds. Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. When the time is running out, the time is running out for everybody. Thank you.
If I may respond to that, the problem was not the minister, that was part of it, but we had technical difficulties with the translation. And it's too bad that the technical area did not work, and that's where we extended it. The Speaker used his judgment. He wanted to make sure that a complete answer got out, not a broken pieces. That was my problem or my issue. I'm sorry, not everyone agrees with it. The Honourable Government House Leader is getting up on the point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Let me state that this problem was created on our side. I offer a sincere apology to the House. We will endeavour to ensure that all members do have their appropriate headsets. My apologies that we caused this disruption. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Carleton is rising on a point of order.
Yes, on the same point of order, I note that the whip seemed to have impaired one of his ministers from answering a question who was not here in person. The Minister of Finance was deprived of the chance to answer housing inflation questions, and I think that it's inappropriate for the whip.
I believe the honourable minister was here in person virtually. That counts. We're not to comment on people's whether they're in the House, and technically, by all reasons, she was in the House. The honourable member for Edmonton Griesbach is rising on asking for a point of order. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. There have been consultations with the other parties, and I hope that if you seek it, you will find unanimous consent for the following important motion. That the House call upon the government to use all available tools to fight against Islamophobia, starting with the designation of a special envoy to monitor and combat Islamophobia.
All those opposed to the honourable member moving the motion will please say nay. No, I'm afraid we don't have unanimous consent. Un appel au règlement.
A point of order?
L'honorable.
The honourable member for Beauport-Limoilou. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there has been consultation with the other parties, and I believe you will find unanimous consent for the following motion. That the House administration and the federal government take measures to ensure that starting January 31st, 2022, the masks distributed on Parliament Hill and in various federal departments and organizations be provided by domestic suppliers who make PPE. All those opposed to the motion, or rather to the honourable member moving the motion, will please say nay.
D'accord, la Chambre.
Very well. The House has heard the terms of the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay.
Adopté.
Carried.
I want to order. I want to make point of order, the honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the last motion, but I do want to suggest in the future you leave sufficient time between the question being read out for the translation to complete itself before seeing if there are any nays, because the response was called before the translation was completed in one case. Thank you.
I will do that. That's a good point. I appreciate the critical or the help. Thank you. Now, we have another point of order, the Honourable Government Whip.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I just simply want to draw to the Chair's attention that in calling for unanimous consent moments ago, I don't know if the Speaker had the opportunity to hear everyone in the House.
I didn't hear anything negative. I paused and listened, but... I want to point out that if there order. I know it's almost Christmas and everybody's excited, but please calm down, or Santa Claus is going to bring you a lump of coal. The honourable member for Kingston and the Islands.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. I believe that in the confusion of what was going on and the amount of heckling that was coming, perhaps you didn't hear it. There was definitely a negative from this side, and I think that we were just taken back and surprised by the manner in which it was passed.
The honourable member for
the honourable member for Louis Saint-Laurent.
Let me be clear. Yes, I do recognize that sometime there could be some heckling from that side. I do recognize that. But in that specific situation, Mr. Speaker, and let me be clear, let me be very serious, please. We're talking about a real serious issue here. We're talking about Islamophobia. Everybody was listening carefully. So what I'm talking about, Mr. Speaker, that's coming from the side of the government.
Yes.
Maybe they regret their choice, but they did it.
The Honourable The Honourable Member for La Prairie on a point of order. Mr. Speaker, the point of order. I think we're a bit confused. I understand the government was slow to react to the motion moved by the member for Beauport-Limoilou, but they did have enough time to react. And if they're that slow, well, that's their tough. They had the time to pass the motion or not, and it was passed, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kingston and the Islands.
And all I'm trying to say, Mr. Speaker, is that they're doing it right now while I'm trying to make a point of order. This is my point. All I'm trying to say is that there was a reaction. They're suggesting that there wasn't. There was. Now, if they didn't hear it or you didn't hear it, that's one thing. But I'm just trying to provide you. And I certainly don't appreciate the House Leader of the Opposition accusing me of lying when I got up and spoke earlier and told you what had happened.
If I can speak to that just for a second, and then we'll see if there's still a point of order. When we ask for a reaction, I need a clear yay or nay. In this point, there's nays because of I just wanted to hear something. I didn't hear anything, therefore it got passed. That is the ruling. The member has a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I think the member from Kingston and the Islands owes an apology to this House. It is long practice in this House that the decisions of this chair are not challenged. You cannot challenge the decisions of the Speaker of this House, and that is exactly what the member from Kingston Islands was doing, and he should apologize.
Just trying to clarify what had happened. It wasn't what I had heard or what anyone else heard, so we'll just leave it at that and move on if that's okay. On a point of order, the honourable member for Kingston and the Islands.
Mr. Speaker, I certainly was not challenging your ruling. I was trying to let you know what my observations in the House were.
I took it, so let's leave it at that and move on. Now, the honourable member for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston this morning asked a question or brought a point of order, and it was a good one. I want to make a statement regarding the length of explanations made by members during the rubric introduction of private members' bills during routine proceedings. After points of order raised earlier today by members for Kingston and the Islands and Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston, I took to return to the House on this matter. Il est permis aux députés.
When introducing a private member's bill, a member is permitted to give an explanation outlining the purpose of the bill. The explanation must be succinct and not enter into debate.
For the benefit of members, footnote 80 in the House of Commons Procedures and Practice, 3rd edition, at page 1130, states, and I quote, a succinct explanation, if I can get everyone to listen to this, a succinct explanation has traditionally been interpreted to mean 30 to 60 seconds, unquote. The chair wants to remind members to keep their explanations within that time frame. I want all members to remember this, and I appreciate their cooperation. Now, before continuing, I know there's excitement in wanting to go. I just want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and all the best of the New Year. J'aimerais vous souhaiter tous.
I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and best wishes for the New Year. Thank you.
Grazie.
Now, the honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent has a weekly question, the Thursday question. Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's probable that soon we will all be returning to our ridings to keep working very hard on behalf of all Canadians, but we'll be doing that in our ridings.
The opportunity to thank everybody who work for the best democratic system in the world, our system, our parliamentary system. And Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. We cannot have some fight without the support of everybody here, and especially those who work for the House of Commons. Nous voulons remercier.
We'd like to thank everyone from the bottom of our hearts, those who enable us to do our work here in the House. And we do our job sometimes ferociously, but that's the beauty of parliamentary democracy in Canada, and we will always fight to protect it. I'd like to thank all members on both sides of the House.